In the past, you have all put your own interests above others, and then lied to yourselves and deceived the world about your callousness, your larceny, your criminality. Now, you will look in the mirror, and you will face who you really are. The choices you have made may cost you your life. You cannot escape the truth. There is, however, one person who can help you.
Welcome back to the Hiding for Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror franchises. I'm Mark.
I'm Tawan.
I'm Maria.
And today we're reviewing Jigsaw, released in 2017, directed by the Spirit Brothers, and written by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger. Maria, can you give the people the plot summary?
After a series of murders bearing all the markings of the Jigsaw killer, law enforcement officials find themselves chasing the ghost of a man who has been dead for over a decade, and they become embroiled in a new game that's only just begun. Is John Kramer back from the dead to remind the world to be grateful for the gift of life, or is this a trap set by a killer with designs of his own?
Now, as I said last week, well, as I said since the beginning of this retrospective, is that I hadn't seen 4, 5, and 6. No, I hadn't seen 5, 6, and 7. But I went and saw this movie in theaters when it came out because somebody I was dating at the time was a huge Saw fan. So they dragged me to go see this, and I was kind of like trying to like figure out if I should have binge watched all like 7 movies before, and I'm glad I didn't, because like then and now you don't need to watch pretty much any of the other Saw movies to watch this movie. This movie feels like so, it feels the same, but it also feels different. It also looks different. Still don't know if that's good or bad, but like I feel like it's a Saw. It's like an imitation that just happens to have some of the, or one of the main like actual people. But what about you, Maria? What are your thoughts on Jigsaw?
Honestly, I don't remember if this was also one of the first Saw movies I watched, and then I watched the other ones. But I do remember seeing this in theater. And I mean, honestly, I liked it. I liked the game. I feel like it was very like elaborate. I feel like it made sense to me. I liked um Logan as, the person who I guess hosts the game. Um I also liked the traps. I feel like I feel like they definitely had like a chance to survive, you know what I mean? Um I liked the idea. I liked this movie. I generally liked the movie, though I do. Okay, so I liked the movie itself for what it was, but being part of the franchise, it did kind of fall short compared to other movies in the franchise. But I feel like it's a great standalone. I feel like it's a good movie to watch if you're not really trying to watch 7 movies. Um, I feel like it does good on its own. So yeah, I don't know. It just this movie just made sense to me. The game made sense. I feel like the people that died kind of deserved it. I don't know if I could say that, but I said it. Um, you know what I mean? Like I genuinely liked the movie itself. Though I mean I do agree there were some parts that felt kind of disconnected, but I don't know, I liked it.
Tawan, what about you?
Yeah, so this was one that I did go see in theaters when it came out, and then once I left out the theater, I was very confused because not that the movie didn't make sense, but there were a lot of parts of it where I was like, oh, so we're just gonna add another accomplice to Kramer, and that's just gonna be like our thing for this one, and it just didn't it didn't. I didn't really. Once I thought about it more, I liked it even less going into it. Um, I didn't really care for the look of it. It looks too clean. Where like, where like the other movies in the Saw franchise, they have like a grimy kind of look to them, whereas this one looked a little like too clean in a sense, and it, it's definitely a step up from Saw, whatever Saw 7 was trying to do. Um, because that one, that looked like the worst to me, but this one looked like too clean for what we were going for. And also, I thought the game was, it felt like very polished for this to be like an earlier game of Kramer's, because at this point it's supposed to be, um if I recall, like a game that he had even before, like Saw 1 and stuff like that, if I am thinking about it correctly. So if that's the case, like it felt like too clean for it to be kind of like a more like earlier attempt than what he did in the first Saw movie with Gordon and such. So that also kind of like was like, what? It's like type of thing. And I also didn't find like Logan to me to be that like good of a character. Like he was a bit like kind of like stale. Um like his character did what he had to do as far as like putting certain people like where he wanted them to be, or like saying certain things to like kind of get the heat off him and onto somebody else. But besides that, like he was kind of a pretty like stale type of character in the Saw movie, especially we got like people well, we got accomplices like Amanda and freaking Hoffman, and also Gordon when you come out to Saw 7. So yeah, it just didn't really hit the same beats for me. And you can definitely tell like this one wasn't done with any of the people who kind of did the other Saw movies, and it definitely feels like a one off, and a little bit even more so than Spiral, which was like a whole different thing, which we'll get to like when we get to that movie. But like I felt like Spiral had a little bit more in common with Saw than this one did, and it just felt tame. It felt like way more tame as far as like the gore and the traps and stuff. We got some in there, but it felt a little more tame at parts to me.
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk about the game because it was mentioned that this game was one of the games that no one knew about, like one of his very first games. Then why the hell are there flat screen TVs all around the place?
Literally,
If this is set, it's supposed to be set in. If the game that we're seeing being played out is set in what 2003, 2004, then why the hell am I seeing flat screen TVs? Why? Why?
why does
I
Billy
just
have flashing red eyes?
yes. Like, why does the prototype Billy look more like creepy than the actual Billy the puppet? Like, what's going on right now? And this is the first time I can remember that like every single member of the game deserved to be there. Like I felt no remorse for anyone. Now, and even watching it in theaters the first time when it came to the mom, I knew something about her story just did not add up. Something that was
Yeah,
just wrong. And then to find out that she killed her baby and then she put the baby under her husband to make him think that he rolled over accidentally and killed the baby and then he kills himself. Like that lady deserved it. I am so glad she did not win because I was so afraid she was going to win. When I was like, she does not deserve to win this game, like at all. Now, the last guy who did he cut off his body part or something? I forgot what he did because he had bled out.
yeah, because he had got his leg cut off by
Yeah,
the razor wire.
like he robbed somebody and like they had an asthma attack and died. I
No,
mean,
that was the girl
that
who
was the
got
girl. I thought that was him. What did he
Nah,
do?
he I think he was drunk driving,
Oh,
and
he was the guy who was like hanging out of the car and
yeah,
being stupid in his. But he was in fucking high school when that happened. And
No,
how the
apparently,
fuck did?
like John said that that ever since then, like he's never improved. Like he's kind of just done things like that throughout his life, where like he'll do some shit and people will get hurt, and he just doesn't care. I think in the beginning he said
Mm.
too that I think in the beginning he said he was like yeah, like I've caused people to die, like I've caused. I think he used to deal or sell drugs. He did something else too that he mentioned. He just
Okay.
did a lot of shit in his life and didn't feel bad about any of it.
So pretty much like he caused two of his friends to die, and he's just been a screw up ever since.
Mm.
Basically, and just
Okay.
but never really like got any consequences, I
Well,
guess, for
the
it.
asthma chick, she didn't. I don't know if that was really like. I don't know. And then we're finding out that John Kramer has a nephew, but like, what about his sister? Like, you can't just drop in that John has more family out there and then not follow up on that more. I don't know. I just feel like this whole like the game was just Saw 4 had the like again. I love a group game. Group game is like one of my favorite parts of the Saw franchise. But this one was like I always like it when there's at least one person to like semi root for,
Mm.
and this had no one. Like no one was like rootable. They were all awful people. But what about you, Maria? What are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, that's why I like the game. I like that there was no one to root for. I like that you were like, man, these people do kind of suck. Like, Jesus Christ. I liked how in the beginning there was like that guy that was like, knocked out and just didn't make it because you were like, oh shit, like, you know, what's happening? But I guess I'm just tired of like innocent people getting like caught up in this fucking game, like, and that guy's wife in that last fucking movie, like she did, like, just because she was being lied to and she died. It's like that who I don't know, I felt so bad for her. And then I think Saw 6, the game, it was also a group game and it was not great either, right? Was that one?
It was Saw 5, the one I
Saw
know what you're
5.
talking about.
Yeah, but I just feel like they haven't done group games very well, and that's why I really like the movie because I feel like it was done well. And I liked that, okay, now you have actual group of people who did did bad things throughout their life. And I feel like these games were actually like fair. Like honestly, I liked Logan as an apprentice. I do admit though, we don't get a lot of him throughout the movie, especially as, Jigsaw. But like, I guess because he wasn't as unhinged as Amanda, and he wasn't psycho like fucking Hoffman, but he was. I feel like he was just like, he was playing these games as they should have been played. Like the way they should have been. And he like, um, or I guess the way John wanted them to be played. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he gave these people a fair chance. Like, I mean, these games were definitely winnable. And I mean, even like at the end with Detective Holleran, like even then, like the reason he lost the game was because like even all the way at the end, he was ready to kill Logan. Like he like pressed his button, and it was like Jesus Christ, like um, and I mean, I'll admit though, like if I mean after watching all these movies and watching this, there is a lot of like inconsistencies, and there is a lot of like why the hell would they do that? And it definitely does. I mean, it does not live up to like the first Saw, but I feel like as like as a standalone movie, I think I would have appreciated a little bit more. Um,
Mm.
I feel like it definitely stands on its own, but because it's part of a franchise, it did fall short. But I liked it. I don't know. I just really liked the movie.
Tuan, what are your thoughts on the game this time around?
Yeah, so I mean, the actual like game and like the people who were in it. Yes, I agree with the both of you that like pretty much all of them kind of deserved their positions for what they were having to go through within it. Um, I will say that the little twist was kind of cool that the game that we were watching wasn't what was happening in real time. We were watching something from the past, and like Logan was kind of just copying it for what he was like kind of like doing to place the bodies around and all that type of stuff. So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool once we got to the end and we kind of like realized that. But I think the thing that like that kept going in my mind when I was watching this, I was like, this is like really advanced. Like it felt like really advanced, like like for like Mark said, for this to be a little bit like before Gordon's trap in the first movie, and a game that we never knew about. It just seemed like really advanced for what he was kind of what he could have done, compared to what we get later on. Which I mean, I know we can't like compare it the most because one, this wasn't done by the same like group of people who usually do Saw movies, and this was supposed to be just touted as like a spin-off branching into its own kind of thing as well. But like you can't just drop the continuity of everything else, especially the fact that in the movie they had Kramer is dead, being dead, so it is still in that same continuity of the other movies. So it just felt like the game itself was kind of advanced for what was happening within it, and like the traps themselves, like the first one, the razor wall, and then like the one with the guy who sold the motorcycle, like that like cyclone blade trap or whatever. Like that seemed like really advanced for some Jigsaw type stuff, just in my opinion, especially prior to everything else that we eventually got as the movies went on.
And
But
this was a game that was set up when it was just him. Like this is before he
that's
had
true.
Hoffman, before he had Gordon, before Amanda. This is his one of his very first traps.
That's
And
true.
from what we're being told, like Logan is his first apprentice. So who the fuck helped him set this up when he's dying?
And it makes it like even not like crazier, but it makes it stick out even more is when I think it was either like Saw 5 or 6 when we got that flashback of Kramer when he did the trap on Cecil who fucking killed his wife's child in her belly. Like he just did a simple ass like knife blade thing. So like if he could have put him in some other shit if like if he this had already happened prior to that technically. But um yeah, that was that whole thing about it just didn't really I didn't really like care for. Everything else like within the game, like I thought the traps were fine. Um, like they kind of made sense and also made them try to work together slightly. Um, but then they all kind of turn on each other, except except well, especially at the end with that one girl. She definitely turned on that one on the guy whose leg got cut off. But I mean, he just sacrificed his whole leg to get you and the other guy out the damn out that room. It was like filling up with the like the bird feed or whatever, and the blades were just falling from the ceiling. But yeah, it just felt like another one where it was kind of um pretty tame in comparison to what we usually get. And like not trying to be like, oh, I just want to see like people get like ripped up or whatever. But I mean, they kind of set that precedent, so I'm expecting it to kind of continue that.
Well, let's talk about some of the traps. I think for me, honestly, only one trap stood out, and that was the trap with Detective Holleran. Like
Hmm.
seeing that laser like slice through his head was traumatic. Like fucking traumatic.
I just wish they would have did that practically if they could have. I'm sure they probably tried
Mhm.
it, but it looks so off because you could tell that like the CGI for it. It just looks really off to me.
To be honest, even the lasers looked off. Like I was like the whole time I was watching them with those lasers, I was like, where the hell do they have these? Like, where do they get these lasers from? Like, these lasers are so strong.
Yeah, that one, but yeah, that one was like cool though. Like it was definitely one of the most like when it happened, I was like, oh shit! Like it said looked like some shit out of like the Thing or like a Demogorgon or something from Stranger Things. Um, I think a trap that I like though, just because the design of it looked cool, was the one that Mitch had to do when he had to get the like the brake from the motorcycle to like stop it. Now, I think what kind of confused me about that one was he. So he could was like I felt like either way he was kind of fucked. I didn't feel like it was any way for him to get out of that. I feel like even if he did like stop it, like he would have been fucked either way. It didn't really seem like that didn't really seem as winnable to me compared to some of the others, especially because it was getting like smaller. Like the cone was getting smaller as he was like getting descended into it, and it didn't really seem like as winnable to me. But also, he should have just grabbed the damn break when he was celebrating and that old girl stopped it. He kind of did that to himself.
Maria, are there any traps that stood out for you?
Um, uh, I guess like the trap with uh the syringes, because that trap was so obvious. Like they all could have lived. I don't, or that girl could have lived. Like he did not have to do her like that, and he just stabbed her with all of them. Um, and also the guy's trap, the one who sold his nephew the bad motorcycle. Cause yeah, when he came out, he was just cut up, just way into pieces. Um, definitely that one was not. I mean, that one was definitely like a revenge trap. Um, but I dig it. Um, and also like I think we just discussed Halloran's trap. Um, I remember watching it in theaters and being I definitely remember not suspecting, Logan like at all. And then he started moving and then you like notice like, oh, like the lasers didn't really, they were fake, you know?
I did
Um
like that. I did like that part when they did that. You saw like the lasers. His was actually burning the ceiling. I thought I was like, oh damn.
yeah, and then you look because you're like, wait, it didn't burn the other guy's ceiling, and then everything starts piecing together, and you're like, what? That's crazy. It's definitely crazy. Um, and yeah, and the way he died, I do agree. It was very like it was good. I don't know. I thought it was really good. It was a really good scene. Besides, the whole CGI thing, it definitely would have looked better practical, but it did what it had to do, basically. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, let's go move on to the characters. But before we do that, Detective Hunt. Should we talk about him or skip him?
Uh, I don't. I don't really think we need to. I don't think we need to.
All right, we'll skip him. It'll be a short list then. Okay. Well, let's talk about the character. Well, let's talk about the characters. Let's start with Eleanor. Now, Maria just said she remembered being in theaters and not suspecting Eleanor. I remember not suspecting Logan, and I felt the exact same way because Eleanor was at the top of my list the entire time. I was convinced that they were gonna do. Because the last movie they did a fake trap survivor. So I thought, what if they're now doing the whole twist on an obsessed true crime fan? She had a bunch of fucking traps. story of the warehouse. She like studied John Kramer in the Jigsaw crime. So like this, like rewatching it this time, it felt so in your face and so obvious that it wasn't her that she'd be the perfect red herring because they made her so kinky, freaky, crazy almost.
Yeah.
But like, but also like we also had Amanda Young, so it wasn't too far fetched. But what about you, Tawan? What are your thoughts on Eleanor?
Yeah, they definitely were trying. They were trying really hard to like make her that kind of red herring type of character, and but it wasn't working for me. Like she, I could see how like it like I could definitely see like how it would. Um, Being at how they were like portraying her character of like being like some like super fan, and then also like it would have been kind of a like switch up. You know, the new Jigsaw is like a woman now. Like that could have been like it could have been like a way they probably were going about it as well. But like as it kind of go like went on and on, she just kind of seemed like more like a super fan, and also because she worked for like a morgue and like dead bodies and stuff. Like I don't know, maybe she just like you know she just had like she just had that not like connection but interest in what was like happening there, which is still weird, like because people were literally tortured to death and you're collecting the torture devices and like keeping them in a warehouse. So like any and like if you show anybody that, they're gonna think you're immediately weird and would do like some crazy shit like this. So it's not like far fetched that she was the one like one like a red herring type of character. But outside of that, like they didn't really give her anything else to do besides be like the red herring. Like she was just there to try to throw people off of the scent, but they didn't really do a good job at it. Um, and then we you know we get to the end of the movie and she was really just kind of hanging around.
Maria?
Um, I agree. Yeah. Like I do, yeah. I mean, I thought it was for a second though. They did get me. I was like, man, Eleanor's just. I remember watching the movie, being like, Eleanor's suspicious, and they were pushing her kind of hard. But there was another movie in the series. I don't remember which one where they had a red herring, but they were doing way too much. I don't remember which movie it was, but I remember being like, bro, like we get it. You're trying to tell us it's this guy. No, it's not. And I feel like comparing that to Eleanor, that's why I was like, maybe it is Eleanor. Like I know they're trying to really hard to make her into a red herring, but they've done this before and they've done it worse. So I was like appreciative, with Eleanor because it wasn't as bad. And I don't remember what fucking movie it was. I really don't. It was one of the Saw movies. But I remember being like, like that sucks. I know it's not this dude. But I mean, yeah, I could definitely see because yeah, I mean, I did see her as a red herring. To be honest, I thought they were gonna just set her up. You know, I thought
that
maybe she
that makes
was.
sense.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was in on the game, not like like as John's apprentice, but just as like she was also in the middle of her own game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. Like when I first saw this, I thought she was gonna like Logan was gonna like set her up as the person doing all of this.
Yes. Um, I thought that too. I thought something, just not really like just her simply being a red herring, I guess. Um, but I mean, I liked her. I liked her character. I guess, it is interesting to see the whole, true crime fan part of it. Because yeah, it is weird that she's collecting, these devices and being like, "Isn't it so cool?" It's like somebody died on this. Like, like come on. Like I understand researching and reading it, but to collect the machine that killed someone, like That might have been a little bit over the top. Um, but yeah, that's what I think about Eleanor.
Well, Maria, what are your thoughts on Detective Holleran?
I mean, he deserved everything. Like he deserved not just dying, but he I liked how Logan also set him up to be seen as the killer. Like he got him so good. Like, you see how every little step, like, and what he did. I don't know. I feel like it was super smart, you know, and it was just like little things that he did to set up Holleran because he was a corrupted cop. He was like, I think he was trying to say, yeah, I've done things, I've hurt people. And it's like you've hurt a lot of innocent people. A lot of people died because of you. A lot of people were put away because of you. And for what? Like, you know? Like you're letting out murderers and rapists for what exactly? Um Definitely deserved to not only, be part of the game and die in the game, but also, basically get his reputation ruined as being, the copycat Jigsaw killer. Yeah.
I would say with Holleran, that for the first, I can't even say that because the game that we're being shown and the game that Holleran was trying to solve are two different games. Well, the same game, but not being played at the same time. Because I was going to say, this is the first time where the people in the game and the person trying to solve the game were all equally bad people who deserved their endings, but they were happening like 11 years apart. But like Holleran was a bad cop. And like at this point, if there's a cop in a Saw movie, they're probably a crooked cop or they're gonna die because they're a good cop trying to solve the case. So I knew that he was either gonna die or be a horrible cop. It just ended up that he was both. But what about you, Tuan? What are your thoughts on Detective Holleran?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment about like cops in the Saw like franchise. You definitely already know it's either going to be one or the other. Like good cop trying to like help out ends up dying, or they're not maybe not a part of it, but they're very crooked. And um, you kind of got the vibe immediately that Halloran was gonna be like that kind of crooked like cop. Just the way that he was reacting, even at the beginning when it came to getting that guy Edgar who had the like remote trigger to like start the game, like just the way he was like acting in that scene, like I was like, oh, this guy's a dick, and you could definitely tell it was gonna like, kind of come back to bite him in the ass. And I mean, I definitely get why his character was eventually targeted, especially once we learn what happened with Logan and with his wife and stuff, and Halloran was the reasoning behind that because he let out all these like criminals and people who like helped him as like to keep him on as like snitches for him basically. So it does make sense and fits into kind of in that like realm of the Saw universe. But besides that, like he wasn't set up as a red herring, but he was more so just kind of set up as one person that I felt like was gonna die, um, in a trap or outside of a trap. Like it just kind of felt like he was gonna get the boot like sooner or later in the movie because he really didn't have like any redeeming qualities for himself. Like he was kind of just like being like a dick the whole time, and not like um giving us like a good mix of both for his character.
Well, we've come to Logan. Logan, the first uh apprentice that we had no idea about. Like with all of those like flashbacks in the previous movies, like showing how he caught um showing how he caught Hoffman and how he got Amanda and Gordon. Not once were we ever alluded to another apprentice or an original apprentice. I feel like that'd be something that should have been mentioned a long time ago. All those flashbacks, that's something that you mentioned that there's another apprentice. And his turn at the end when he reveals himself, I have to say, was really good because the actors like face and like cadence and like body language all changed, and I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know, like it was given that they wanted the character to be a mix of Dr. Gordon and Detective Hoffman, and like the look and the feel, like how he's a doctor, but he's also part of this investigation, which was a red flag. Like, why the fuck is a coroner? What the fuck are they called? The coroner, right? Why is the coroner involved in the fucking investigation? Like, that's a red flag right there. But what about you, Tawan? What are your thoughts on Logan?
Logan's gotta be the most boring like apprentice to me. Like he really he was pretty like boring of a character, like especially his like switch up from like first half to second half of the movie. Like it kind of like came out of nowhere. um Whereas, when we got like Amanda, she kind of felt a bit like unhinged when we like first saw her out of her trap. Like even like it was at the first or second movie when she was getting interviewed and she was just saying like how changed she was. Like you were like, oh, she's kind of off her rocker, and then we just kind of see that like go further and further um with the character. Or like Hoffman, for instance. Like Hoffman was already crazy. He set up a fake um Jigsaw trap, like trying to frame it as if it was Jigsaw to kill someone. So they were already kind of like on that type of wave, and like already at that point. But Logan, he was like a pity, he was like a pity apprentice. Like Kramer came to save him, and let him become an apprentice. Later on, now he's a coroner and working at the morgue, and he kind of seems like a square. Like he's kind of boring as we like introduced to him. Now we get the end of the movie where um he gets like a little like fire under him, and like it's kind of trying to like deliver those lines in like a very menacing way, but he just didn't come across that for me. Like I don't know if it was like the actor or just the way he was delivering the lines, or like the lines he's been given, but it just didn't really like hold kind of any weight to me, I felt like. And it definitely could have been done a little bit more better with his character, I felt. And just the fact that who are you? Like yes, we were told we were told like who this guy is, but um even just a little crumb of like someone else from like a previous movie or something like that would have like helped out. But just inserting this person prior to everything, and then what, they just like fell off, and now they didn't fuck with each other anymore. Like I don't know, it just didn't really seem right.
Maria, what are your thoughts on Logan?
I'm sorry, but I liked Logan. I liked that he wasn't as like unhinged as Amanda, and he wasn't as like psychotic as Hoffman. I liked that he I mean, I personally just liked the twist that it was him at the end. Okay, and maybe I'm being biased, but I also think he's hot. Like I was like, man,
There
this
we
guy
go.
when he cuz okay, look, that scene when like Holleran realized it was him and he got up and he was like saying, he was like, it's me, like I'm Jigsaw, and his voice changed. I was like, oh my god. Like I see I was like, this guy is hot. Anyway, but I don't know. I thought he was super smart about the way he set up the game, and I thought, like John, he kind of, didn't really put like. I mean, I guess he did have, feelings about, because like there was some revenge, right? Towards Holleran and what he did, like to his wife and stuff. But I just feel like I don't know. He seemed very level headed. He seemed very like um he just seemed like the type to put his feelings aside and be like, this is a game, like, compared to like Hoffman and Amanda, who became twisted and obsessed over their own like ideas of what the games should be. I feel like Logan had a very good, you know, he had a good, I guess, again, like level head about everything. Um, I I do agree though that I didn't really, I guess, like the fact that it was like, oh, this guy's an apprentice and this guy's an apprentice, and then he had this other apprentice, and it's like, okay, so then how many people are really like, we're really into this, but um, it's like, I guess, um, I don't know. I mean, I liked the switch. I thought it was cool. I thought he was like really smart the way he set everything up. Um, like nobody, not only did he set up the games, but he also covered his bases in order to make it seem like it was Halloran. And I thought that was super smart. He wasn't purposely, because like Hoffman, he wasn't trying to get promoted. He wasn't trying to be in the middle of everything. He wasn't trying to like, to be the number one cop or whatever the hell Hoffman was trying to do. I just feel like Logan was genuinely just about the game, and that's what I liked about Logan. I guess, yeah, it does seem boring. Um, it's definitely not like, yeah, like you're right. Like there's a reason why these games are so interesting, because Amanda was crazy and Hoffman was just as was he was even crazier. Um, but I don't know. I liked Logan. I liked to see how the games were actually supposed to be played, and Logan is hot, so there's that too.
What are your thoughts on John Kramer? Do you think he's hot as well?
Yes, that man is a silver fox, but um, I mean, we like barely saw him, in the movie. I mean, okay, like I get why he gave Logan a second chance, because it was an honest mistake. But then it's like, if you really thought that, then why did you bring him all the way to like to the trap? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, then why is he there? Like, why couldn't you just set him aside and be like, oh, like I was gonna give you a try, but I changed my mind. Like, he really just let him. I don't know. I don't know what the hell John was thinking there. I guess.
Like he
Uh,
felt bad there, but like this girl just got acid stuffed in her neck. This other guy just got his leg cut off. Like, bro, come on.
yeah. Like, I was just like, okay, John, suddenly with the, um, you know, with the good conscience, I guess, or whatever the hell that's called. But yeah, I mean, we barely saw him here. Um, he did, because he was there for Ryan and that other girl's game, and he was just honestly, he just seemed so done. He was like, look, you guys are both horrible people, like play it out, figure it out. And and to be honest, that riddle that he gave them was so unfair. Like, he was like, because he was like, your keys, this is your key to freedom, and it was the fucking bullet casing. And it's like, how was I supposed to know there are keys in that fucking thing? Like, he's over here telling us that the one of us has to die, and we have to shoot it. So we have to shoot each other. Like, you're over here insinuating like someone's gonna get shot, but like, there's like in no way in that riddle were you to think, oh, maybe like let me just check like this fucking thing in this gun, right? Like, let me just look at it. I feel like that would never cross my mind, you know? So I feel like that's so unfair. Um but yeah, he just looked so done with everybody, to be honest. He just looked so done with these games. But but yeah.
He looked so done with these games, even though this was his very first game.
Yeah, right. Like he didn't look passionate about it at all.
Well, are we passionate now that we've come to the end? But not quite the end. Tuan, can you give the people the behind the scenes info and facts?
Jigsaw was produced on a budget of $10 million and it brought in a box office of 104.2 million. Some interesting facts. This is the first Saw movie to be released more than a year after the previous film. Previously called Saw Legacy, the title changed to Jigsaw, making it the first film to have Tobin Bell's character name displayed in the title. The film was specifically written as a way to minimize on the torturous and extreme violence of the previous series installments, instead opting for a feeling of claustrophobia along with gloss and style. And that's a reason why I didn't like it. As part of a traditional blood drive, each person that would donate blood at specific locations or at specific times would receive a free ticket to see this film. This started on October 10th, 2017, and ran until October 25th, 2017. Upon the film's success, Twisted Pictures greenlit both a ninth and 10th installment for the series. This also is the first movie in the franchise that did not receive an NC-17 rating upon hitting the ratings board. It passed with a rated R immediately. Some critics' reactions. The film currently sits at a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. Variety found the film garishly wrote, saying for 92 minutes it more or less succeeds in sawing through your boredom, slicing and dicing with gloom and explicitness that raises the occasional tingle of gross out suspense, but no longer carries any kick of true shock value. Bloody Disgusting gave the film 2.5 out of 5 stars, saying that the film, while being a fun ride, fails to justify its existence with a story that is overly familiar and a twist that does not live up to most of its predecessors.
Well, enough about them. What about us? Tuan, Maria, do we cash or pass? Jigsaw. Tuan?
I will definitely be passing on Jigsaw. If we did not watch this for this podcast, I probably would not have seen this movie again. Um, I really just do not care for it. It doesn't um, really like hold any weight amongst like any of the other movies. And especially now that we have like Saw X and seeing that one, that one's also one that can kind of be seen as like standalone type and but also connected at the same time, and it does it way better than this movie did. So yeah, I'll be passing on Jigsaw. I don't think I'll be watching this one again, and if you're doing a watch through of all the Saw movies, you can definitely skip this one and it wouldn't impede your viewing of the franchise.
Maria, do you cash or pass Jigsaw?
I mean, I definitely agree with what that last review that Tuan read said. It is a really fun ride, but it is definitely different than the rest of the Saw movies. But I really liked the movie. I enjoyed the ride. There were some inconsistencies. There was some things that, as a Saw fan, I was like, "Why would you like no?" But I liked it. I enjoyed the ride. Logan was hot. Like, I don't think there's any more I can ask for in a movie. I enjoyed the game. I liked the fact that I wasn't like, this person didn't really do anything bad. I liked that there was some genuine like awful people in here that really needed to like, to confess what they did. Um and yeah, it's just I enjoyed the movie, so I cash.
I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know if I want to cash or pass, if I'm being honest. And being on the fence means I should probably pass. If it's a complicated movie, it's a slow start. I have issues with Logan, not just I have issues with Logan as a character. I have issues with the trap. I have issues with everything because mostly everything Tuan pointed out. Logan was boring, and why is this trap so intricate and so like well thought and out in detail when this is his first trap? Like I've seen I don't want to jump ahead, but it's not given. Like this movie just felt like if it was all just flashback, like this entire movie was a prequel and we were seeing the very first trap, I would have been okay with that. You know, the true very first trap. But no, it's not giving what it thought it was gonna give, and yeah, it's a pass for me. It's a pass. And yeah. But join us next week as we review Spiral from the Book of Saw, aka Saw 9. I've only I saw this movie when it first came out on I think it was HBO Max it came out on because I didn't go see it in the theaters. I waited till it was like streaming somewhere because it was doing that same day streaming shit. And I haven't seen it since. I don't remember the movie. You know, everything I watched and consumed during the shutdown and pandemic kind of like all morph into one stupid memory. So it'd be interesting to go back. You know, it's Saw, but like with a bunch of black people, black and brown people. So that should be interesting. Should be good. What do you guys think?
I remember liking Spiral. I actually did go to the theaters to see it when it came out. Um, I
You
remember
see, Tuan, that doesn't hold weight.
what?
You saying that you remember liking a Saw movie because at this point you've said that about several Saw movies, all of which you ended up saying I don't like that movie. It wasn't giving what I thought. So you
Yeah,
know
but
you can't say that no more.
this one's more recent. I remember more of this one, like more recent. There were like I definitely remember when, like especially towards the end, and kind of like fell a little bit for me. But I did like the traps that were in it, and unlike Jigsaw, like it actually skewed away from it. You know, connecting fully to Kramer and being like an actual like spin-off type of deal. And I
Mm-hmm.
just only thing I remember also not liking was that like whatever the humor that Chris Rock was trying to put in here was not like hitting that he as he thought it was going to. Um, but
Just
besides
hold
that,
all of that for next week.
yeah,
What about you, Maria? What is your preview for this movie?
I actually have not seen Spiral, so this will
Oh,
be my first time watching it.
nice, nice.
okay, that should be good. Then it should be good. So everyone, join us next week as we review Spiral, and then after that, we have finally come to Saw X. It's already out in theaters. It's been what, second week by the time this comes out, or third week by the time this comes out. They fucked up our schedule, but we're one episode away. Good night. Oh shit. The Haddonfield Horrors Podcast is a Letters to Media production. If you like this episode, please be sure to check out Haddonfield Horror's past reviews from big franchises like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the Chucky franchise, or one-off reviews like Us and Midsommar. You can follow Haddonfield Horrors on Instagram and TikTok, where the host posts updates and mini reviews. Full episodes are available on several podcasting platforms. If you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to please like and subscribe. Haddonfield Horror is produced by Mark Smart, Maria Perez, and Tuan Griffin. Edited by Mark Smart. Theme by Lethal Injections. Should we do an intro?